It was a courtroom clash nobody expected, and it ended with a shockwave that could reverberate through NASCAR garages for decades. Michael Jordan just forced NASCAR into a $40 million reckoning and then handed the real prize straight to the teams. Here's how it happened. For nearly 2 weeks, a high-stakes legal fight simmered quietly inside a federal courtroom in North Carolina. On one side stood NASCAR, the long-entrenched powerhouse of American motorsports. On the other were 23XI Racing, co-owned by Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, joined by Front Row Motorsports. What began as a $365 million antitrust lawsuit quickly morphed into something far more consequential. This wasn't merely about money. It was about control, stability, survival. 23XI and Front Row had reached their breaking point. They accused NASCAR of running a system tilted heavily toward the elite one, where only a few could thrive, while everyone else gambled their future on temporary charters that could vanish overnight. In their view, it wasn't just unfair, it was unlawful. And just as the tension peaked, NASCAR flinched. 9 days into the trial, before its attorneys could even fully present a defense, NASCAR made a stunning decision. A settlement. No spectacle. No cameras. Just a quiet announcement that sent tremors through every garage from Daytona to Sonoma. Permanent charters. For years, teams lived under a ticking clock. Charters expired. Security was an illusion. One misstep could erase everything. Now, for the first time, teams own their place in the sport indefinitely. No renewals, no uncertainty, just permanence. And permanence means money, serious money. Executives say charters once valued around $45 million could now soar past $90 million. That's not a minor shift. That's a complete rewrite of the economic landscape, all because Jordan and Hamlin refused to back down. When they exited the courthouse, they didn't offer speeches. They didn't need to. Their expressions said enough. The balance of power had changed, and Michael Jordan's presence loomed over everything. This wasn't a calculated business maneuver. It was personal. The man who defined competitive greatness on the basketball court was now standing up for NASCAR's middle class. Jordan framed it plainly. With stability, equity, and a stronger voice, the sport finally had a chance to grow together for generations. In court, he brought the same intensity that once crushed opponents. His testimony wasn't about ego or profit. It was about fairness, about fixing a broken system. He even pointed to the NBA's revenue-sharing model, arguing that NASCAR needed a similar foundation to survive its next era. The comparison landed hard. Even Kenny Wallace acknowledged the difference. Jordan wasn't posturing. What he said came from the heart. When NASCAR succeeds, the team should succeed too. But this victory wasn't won on words alone. It took nerve. Denny Hamlin risked everything while still carrying the scars of past championship heartbreak. Reflecting on his 2010 collapse against Jimmy Johnson, Hamlin admitted he once let pressure defeat him. This time, pressure did the opposite. It shaped him. Standing up isn't easy, Hamlin later wrote. But progress never comes from staying silent. The reward is knowing you changed something. And they did. Overnight, team owners across the grid, whether they joined the lawsuit or not, found themselves holding golden tickets, permanent charters, skyrocketing valuations, real leverage with sponsors. The underdogs suddenly had the keys. Even NASCAR's Titan didn't resist. Roger Penske called the settlement tremendous news and said the sport was stronger united. Rick Hendrick echoed that optimism, calling the moment a defining opportunity. But make no mistake, they didn't pull the trigger. 23XI and Front Row did. NASCAR never even got the chance to tell its side of the story. So why would the France family-led organization, armed with money, power, and legal firepower, surrender so quickly? Because the cracks were already forming. Behind closed doors, pressure mounted not just from the plaintiffs, but from inside NASCAR's own ecosystem. On the eve of the settlement, Bass Pro Shops CEO Johnny Morris reportedly sent a blistering letter aimed at Commissioner Steve Phelps. Insiders say it changed everything. The next morning, Phelps didn't appear in court. Let that sink in. NASCAR's commissioner was absent on the day the sport conceded one of the most consequential lawsuits in its history. Coincidence? Or something else entirely? Phelps had already become a lightning rod. Leaked texts involving Richard Childress, messages described as aggressive and alarming circulated during the trial, further souring sentiment in the garage. Though Childress stayed silent, talk of further legal fallout lingered. Fans demanded accountability. Owners wanted answers, and many eyes turned toward Phelps. Even after apologies, the damage was done. NASCAR ultimately gave teams everything they sought: permanent charters and structural reform. So why fight at all? Attorney Jeffrey Kessler put it bluntly: this was a legal brawl, and NASCAR never landed a punch. With time left in the trial, they still chose to fold. Why? Because they were losing the narrative, losing public trust, and losing badly. Michael Jordan, standing in that courtroom, turned a business dispute into a moral reckoning. This wasn't a billionaire chasing profit. It was a lifelong fan demanding fairness and sustainability. From the start, the lawsuit was about progress, about building a future where everyone had a stake. And that message stuck. Now 2311 and Front Row walk away, having done more than protect themselves. They shifted the tide for everyone. Charter values are expected to explode. Rick Hendrick now holds 4 permanent charters. Penske has 3. Legacy Motor Club's recent $40 million purchase may already be worth twice that. A single week changed everything, but uncertainty remains. The full terms of the deal haven't been revealed.